everyone. I'm your host, Dr. Shafer of Talks with Dr. Shafer, and we are so excited. We have a post show recap and update with Gina Casazza. We are so excited to have her back on the show. She has so much going on. Thank you for spending this time with us again, Gina.
Oh, I really liked talking to you the first time. And now that I'm following you, your daughter, I'm loving watching you guys grow, and then us all kind of growing together and all the stuff
Yeah.
that we're creating. It's like, I feel like it's weird because, like, social media, like, one of the positives about it is the friendships that you make. And so I appreciate you being back on because it feels like when you follow somebody, you're like, you're not friend, you got, your acquaintances, and then you do more things like this, and a friendship blooms.
Exactly. Well, and it was really interesting because we didn't know one another before we taped the last show, but it became clear to both of us, I think, after we had been speaking, like, wow, we have an incredible amount in common. This is really
Yeah,
amazing.
yeah, for sure.
And we're both, Jacks and Janes of all trades. We do a lot of things and we are not afraid to pivot and we are not afraid to tell our stories, even when we are in the new stages of them, which is something that you've done with your Navy SEAL training and you share on your podcast, Mindset Lessons from the Field podcast, which is a really amazing opportunity to hear lessons from the field, which teach your guests and you so much. And now I really want to pivot and talk about things that have happened since our conversation with your new Kickstarter and your nonprofit. So let's start with the Kickstarter project that you have going on right now.
So I'll tell you, being a jack of all trades and doing so much stuff, and especially right now because it is author season, with schools and stuff like that, bookings, that I should have done this in the summertime. But then at the same time, people are not as active on social media and stuff like that because we're living it up in the summertime. But I decided to launch a Kickstarter, and I changed it, but I was originally launching it the 23rd. I'm moving it to next week, the 28th. And it's just really to help. I guess it's since I built a following and I built a fan base and I built, those pre-orders. It's pretty much like a pre-order at Kickstarter. It's like, okay, as a self-published author, we have to put so much money up front, as and getting those pre-orders really helps already pay for, the stuff that I have to pay for. And mainly the main thing is the illustrations and the physical copy of the book itself. Everything else is pretty much like, you know, easy peasy. But so right now I'm getting ready to launch it. I've been so bad with marketing for it. I'll tell you that. But I figured I give it a shot. It either hits or it doesn't hit. I get it. I don't get it. And I can, like you said, pivot or figure something
Yeah.
out. Sometimes I feel like, oh, I don't give it enough time. Like, oh, there's so much going on in my life. Like, if I would just focus on this, like, I'll hit that $6,200, no problem. But when you have so much going on, it's like you kind of just have to just see what happens and be like, listen, I'm giving it my best shot. I'm doing what I can, and yeah, let's go.
Well, I'm glad that you're here to talk about this so that people who are inspired by you, by your not for profit organization, for your books, for the touring, that they can understand that this is a way that they can help move the needle on your purpose and get new books out into the world to make such a big impact on little people and also the big people that love them and schools and your overall mission of promoting literacy. Let's dive into that because I believe the same day that you're launching the Kickstarter now, October 28th, is a really big day for you in Myrtle Beach. Let's talk about that
Oh my god,
exciting
I
day.
totally forgot that it's October 28th. I'm like,
Yeah.
"What do I" oh, yeah, my ribbon cutting for my nonprofit. So,
Oh, yeah,
I
that.
totally forgot, like, I have so much happening on the 28th. I am doing my ribbon cutting that day at the Chamber of Commerce down in Myrtle Beach. If anybody is listening and that is in the area, come on by. I believe it's at noon. And
It is.
I'm raffling
Yeah.
off a free book. And it's just to let the community know about the nonprofit, because what I realized, I recently moved down to South Carolina. And what I realized coming from a state like, well, I grew up in New York and they had probably one of the top school districts. I mean, we had just speakers all the time. We had speakers all throughout the year. We had Shel Silverstein come to my school when I was in elementary school. I mean, we it was amazing. We had a PTA that was on top of it, that brought people in, and it's still like that on Long Island because I get booked in the New England area all the time for literacy. I come down here and the schools aren't interested. I just had a school in Myrtle Beach. My nonprofit is funding the school, and they just called and was like, "We don't know if we can fit it into the schedule." It was
Mm.
like, "It's completely funded. What do you mean?" And the nonprofit's paying for it. What do you mean you can't get it into the school? And they're like, "Yeah, we're just not sure if we can fit it in." And I'm like, "It's literacy. We're promoting literacy. The kids aren't listening to you. They're not listening to their parents. They're listening to the people that are coming in that they don't know and they feel inspired by. Now, if they would see me on a daily basis, my story goes out the window. But it's inspiring because it's my first, that's their first time. So that was one of the reasons why I started this nonprofit, because I was like, literacy needs to be better here in South Carolina. It is probably one of the worst in the nation. And I'll tell you, it's definitely one of the worst for author visits and for speakings and things like that. And there are probably some schools that are like, well, we bring in people, but it's like, they're always, for me, like, it's either like it needs to be free, it needs to be there's this criteria that they have, and I just feel like it's not about the kids, it's the bureaucracy. And I was hoping that the nonprofit, and the reason why I started that, is to cut that and let them see the benefits of what I bring to the table. Because what I bring to the table isn't just promoting literacy, it's promoting belonging, it's promoting self esteem building, it's promoting confidence. And they're seeing it through reading my book, by hearing my story, by watching the videos of me doing it. I don't just talk, they watch me like go through it from back in the day when I was training with the Navy SEAL. And they hear my story into the book. And then we as a school write a book together. And then I send them, I go home, I write the book, they create the characters, they create the story, and then write it. And then I do clip art, not an illustrator, can't do it all. And then I send it back to the school. And then the kids get to see, like, wow, we wrote a book. Like, this was easy and fun. And then they start writing and reading and getting into it a bit more. And South Carolina is not understanding that. And I'm telling you, it is so frustrating. And I was at a festival like a month ago, and someone was like laughing at me when they saw my author visit sign. And they're like, you should just go to North Carolina for that. We don't do that here. And I was like, and I am going to North Carolina. They're booking me over there, but that's not the point. I want to be in my own state. So I am started this nonprofit to hopefully change the game. And it's crazy to me because I really thought when you get the funding that the schools would be like, yeah, I want to come on in. So I'm realizing that it's not just about funding. Like, it's a whole, oh, it's it's a lot over here in the state. It's gonna be
Yeah.
a tough one to crack, but I'm cracking
Yeah,
it.
if anyone can, it's you. And the thing is, I love the tenacity and I love even just sharing this story with students, right? And showing them, I think it's really important for young people as they are coming into their own, they're exploring what they love, what they want to maybe even do with their lives. And that is really stressful. They're thinking, even what college or what vocational school will I potentially go to after I graduate high school? What job will I go into if I'm not going to go to college? And it can feel really overwhelming because they're thinking, okay, this decision is me the rest of my life, and I better not mess it up. So I think not only are you bringing this amazing program and you are creating change, you are being the change that you want to see in your community, because that's the only way we change things, is by shaking things up a little bit, putting our foot down and saying, "No, this is my
Mhm.
playground and we're going to make this work here." So not only are you doing that and changing the tide in that way, but with your background and with the diversity with which you have lived your life and all of the things that you've done and can speak to on a personal level, when you show them that, "Hey, I did this, 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 and the other thing, and I'm not done yet. Today, we're going to write a book together. And then who knows, maybe we'll make an animated series." I mean, sky's the limit. It's only determined by our tenacity, by our resilience, and our willingness to put ourselves out there. That is a huge lesson to teach kids. And I think that if I had heard that at that age, I would feel much less concerned or anxious or worried about what the future looks like, because I would know Gina pivoted, right? She evolved over time, and I should expect to, just like her.
I didn't even, yeah, I love that. I didn't even think about, sometimes we're just so focused on ourselves and what we're doing and what we're, and like the barriers that we're doing our best to overcome and get to that mission, that target, and hitting that. But it's it's inspiring. I get inspired by other people, so it's always interesting when people are like, "I'm inspired by you." I was like, "Really?"
Yeah, you are incredibly inspiring, and that's why it was so exciting to have you on the show, and I was so excited for us to have this chat, this
Yeah.
post-show chat, as people are starting to enjoy the episode, because a lot has happened since we taped. We taped earlier this summer, and a lot has happened, and I'm so excited that we got to share that with viewers. If you are in the Myrtle Beach area, definitely go to that, and like you said, you're gonna be raffling off a book
A
there,
book
so
as
that's
well.
really
Yeah.
exciting. And you can also go to ginacasazza.com and check out all the bookings, the podcast, purchasing
They
the
can check
book,
out
getting
the
her in your
nonprofit.
school.
It's there
Yeah.
too. The nonprofit is also on that website. So if they want to look further into the nonprofit, if they're interested in being a sponsor and donating, or if they have a school that they want to particularly sponsor, the nonprofit is also there. So you can learn more about the whole purpose of what exactly I decided to start over here.
Which is amazing. Everything's amazing. And the thing I like about it is I think sometimes when we're putting our vision board together, I'm gonna like do my thing here. I don't have I have my little bubble chart that I did. But when we're a creative person like you are, like I am, we'll say, okay, sorry, my messy stuff here, but we'll have a big dream and we'll have all these little things and they seem like they're disconnected, but actually as they
Yeah.
come to fruition, you realize how interconnected they are. And it's kind of like our arms and our legs and our eyes. And we need all of these different pieces of the puzzle of our overall mission for it to really come to life in the way that it was really meant to. And that requires us just kind of leaning into it and saying, no, yes, it's wonderful if I could focus 100% of my time on this Kickstarter, but then everything else, I drop all the other balls. I've gotta be this multidimensional person and just keep moving forward the best I can, like you were saying before.
Yeah, and you really hit it. We just had Navy SEAL Kevin Seif on the podcast, and he said the difference between missions and goals. And he talked about like you have a mission in life, and all these goals kind of go around that mission, and you don't sometimes see it until you like step back and you're like, you have this career, you have this career, you have this because careers change, right? Or you have this endeavor and this goal that you hit and this hit, and then when you sit back, you're like looking at it all and it's like it all ties down to one mission that you particularly are set out here in this world to you know bring forth into the world.
Oh, I love it. I'm so glad. And I have to tell you, Gina, I've never told you this before. I don't think I told you this. So I tend to be pretty kind of cool as a cucumber. I don't get worried about anything. Life has seasoned me enough that I just don't anymore. But after we taped our episode, we had trouble with the audio.
Oh no.
We had trouble with the audio.
Uh-huh.
And I was really concerned about it because it was such a great discussion. And like I said, I loved how we kind of organically connected during it and really developed a friendship and a connection that was just beyond just an interview. And
Yep.
so we couldn't just re-record it, it wouldn't be the same interview, right? That wouldn't happen
Yeah,
a
no,
second time.
yeah,
We know
yeah.
each other. So I was really fretting over it. Like I don't normally fret. And since then, I use Riverside as my online studio, and I love them. And the thing I love about them, just like us, they're constantly evolving and trying new things and taking feedback and doing great things with them. And they made their AI software that helps with audio issues even better than it had been before. And it took your audio from, it was like 20% was the best I could get it to now I think it's pretty much even.
Wow.
So
Oh my
I'm
god.
so
Yeah.
excited. Oh, it was so exciting.
Actually, I have a podcast episode coming up, and I put it off for editing because we had video issues. And
Oh,
then when you have video issues, sometimes audio, stems out as well. So I haven't heard it yet because I'm just so scared. And it was like you said, so organic, so fun. Like you cannot reshoot that. Like, so
no.
I get it. I get it. And I am just like not facing it right now. I'm like, wait until after the 28th and then,
Yeah.
get through the
Yeah.
28th.
I concur. I support this decision. I think you have enough going on between now and the 28th. And then it's going to
Yeah.
be Halloween. Are you doing anything fun for Halloween?
No, I was gonna go see my nephew in California, but he's visiting me right now, and I was like, I'll just get on the plane and go. And then I'm just like, Gina, you have to like focus. Like, let's go. Like, because I know work doesn't get done when my nephew's around. It's just my nephew. He is like my whole entire world. And so I'm like, no, no, no. So I am going to be catching up on all the work this week that I'm not doing because I'm spending my time with
Well,
him.
that's the best way. And it's so inspiring. And I mean, it sounds like you two just need to write a book together.
Yeah. Yeah. When he gets a little bit older, he's going to be 3 now. But
Ooh.
yeah, I
That's a good
definitely
time to start being an illustrator, though. I mean, you capture a time in their artistic development that's not gonna come back, right? You might get some
yeah.
really great artwork right now working with him.
Yeah, that is very true. Yeah, I try and do some he loves reading, like loves reading. And when I'm with his brother's older than him. I think his brother's going to be like 9 or something. Forgot, but when we used to hang out, we do tell your own story or finish the story games. He would go into this huge he has this great imagination. So I hope to do the same with my nephew like as he grows. So that way he's like his brother, when we're together, like we're not on our phone. We're outside. We're using our imagination. We're telling stories. Every once in a while we go to the video game and here and there, but it's very, very limited. So I would like to do the same thing with him when we have our time together, because it's important and it's going to help him as he evolves. And I definitely really want to do like you do with your daughter. I think it's the most amazing thing. I feel like every parent should do it is get them into the entrepreneurial life early on. Because even if they don't go into it, even if they're like, no, I want the 9 to 5, like at least they learn the struggle. They learn the resilience. They learn the grit. Like they learn all this stuff at such a young age that they're not going to get until like they're older. And then, they have all these other negative beliefs or all these other things that come in or all these other bills or other stuff that's going to hinder that and make it so much harder. And plus, as a kid right now, so many kids are like, it's easy. It's easy. It's like, oh, I could just use ChatGPT to correct my grammar. Oh, I could just use this and and all this stuff. It's so much easier. And by having them learn entrepreneurial life, it's helping them only become a better person and a better business person. And they're going to do better whichever route they choose in terms of like let's just say they want to be a doctor. I mean, you still need entrepreneurial skills if you want to like have your own practice and things like that. So what you're doing, I feel like more parents should do, and I would love to do that with my nephew when he gets older.
Well, it sounds like you'll be really set up with all the work you're doing to
Yeah, he'll be
involve him
so
in that, and I think that's
excited.
That's, I
Yeah.
think that's the thing is when we live our lives and we lean into our passions, it's infectious, and the people we love, if there is an alignment there,
Mhm.
or you can find a way where they can belong because they're doing the thing that they love. So if it's artwork, my son is more of a kind of a little engineer, and he also really loves to paint. So I foresee at some point I'd love to do a calendar with him with artwork because he's much more visual, and I think that would be really, really fun to do. He also loves blocks, so incorporating that. Um, but just embracing who they are. And I wanted to respond to something you said because I think you're teaching them also how to just talk to other people.
Yes.
And like you said, when we're so focused on our own projects, like just creating the art, sometimes we're too focused on the art itself, and we're not even necessarily thinking about the impact
Mhm.
or how to communicate that story, not just for us, but so that it resonates with other people, so that it reaches other people. And once you start to be an entrepreneur, you have to start thinking about that. Once you're talking to readers and they're reflecting back to you what your artwork impacts them, what it means to them, what it means to their kids or their grandkids or their classroom, then you look at your art a little bit differently, right? You might
Mhm.
be able to tweak things that before you wouldn't have even thought of because it just wasn't in your lens, and that perspective giving is really helpful. And just learning how to tolerate no's. Like you said, with getting into schools, it seems like it should just be a slam dunk. We've
Yeah,
got the
you think
funding, we've got the
that's right.
will, right? Like, let us in,
Yeah.
we're here, we're excited, it's gonna be great. And sometimes the response you get isn't what you would expect.
Mhm.
And so I think learning how to just graciously accept no.
Mhm.
When my daughter really wanted to do media and do a more proper book tour now with her third book, Wolf Tales, she had to learn we're going to get 99 no's for every yes. And we have to be excited about the no's because it's just a step on getting to that yes, right? So it's not bad. It's like, oop, I got another no. I'm closer to
Yeah.
my yes, right? We're not upset about it. It is a
Yeah.
necessary part. And to see her ability to cope with no's and her ability to just do public speaking
Oh,
is
she's
incredible.
amazing. She's amazing. Like, I'm watching her on Instagram and I'm just like, "Oh my god." Like, she's, like, insane. I'm loving it. Like, I'm loving watching her because you're you're watching, like, a kid growing in, like, a different way that you're not seeing kids online. Like, you see kids online, like, in social media in a more of a, what is it, like, social way, with my
Yeah.
friends and wearing this and on this vacation. And your kid's like hustler, like, no, like, I want to get my public speaking down. I want to show my book. I want to show my creativity. Like, I'm here for it. I'm like, I'm loving it.
Yeah, and she would not be interested in, like, talking about herself online. She doesn't have an account that's hers for socializing because, like you said, we're not wanting them to be on screens and on these accounts all the time. For her, it's more of a she wants to share her mission, just like you are trying to share your mission and bring people into that process and benefit them. That's really how she approaches what she's doing in her work too. And I think that really helps keep a good perspective on being involved
Yeah.
in the media and in this industry. And the nice thing is children's literature, it's a good place to be,
It
right?
it really is. And the cool thing that she's learning is content creating for business. Like, it's not content creating for look at me, look at me. It's
Yeah,
content creating for look at, like, what I'm creating and her
exactly.
business. And that's also going to take her as she gets older. Cause, like, look at Mr. Beast, right? He was like, started at like 14 or something like that and was like, my videos were terrible, right? I had to get through all of this to learn this. And it's like, your daughter's like, I'm starting now. I'm 8. I'm starting. And now I'm, no, I'm older and I've learned this much. And it's like, oh my God, like, I wish I started younger. I'm learning this in my mid 30s. And I'm like, so it's amazing. Like, it's so cool to see, like, young entrepreneurs and their growth and what they're learning, and like, and it's going to be cool to watch her. I would love to see her when she's older, like rewatch her, like do kind of like what we do, but it would be her and watch 8, 9, 10, right? And like talking about it and talking about like what was going on in her head and the process of a young person, and then now with the wisdom that she has in her teens and then in her 20s. And that's just really, that's going to be fascinating too, because people aren't doing that's not out there, and
Yeah.
so she's right ahead of the game where she can talk about things like that.
I love it, and I love how you are doing that for students in schools too by bringing them into the process because, again, they
Mhm.
have ownership of that and they can look back on it and say, "I created this." And then that's just a data point when they think in the future they wanna start something, "Well, I've done that before, right? Gina
Yeah.
showed me how to do that. Now I can take that next step." And when they see podcasts like yours or like Amelie's or like mine, I can do that, right? People are doing it, and we're not doing it perfectly because there's no such thing as perfect, right? We're
No.
learning, and
No.
it's just exciting to learn with every episode we do and every book that we publish and we promote and just go through the process. And it's so exciting to watch your process, and I am so excited about the ribbon cutting ceremony. Please send pictures so that we can put them up on social media and celebrate you and also promote your Kickstarter because I'm so
Awesome.
excited about that. Any other information about the Kickstarter so that people can find that and contribute?
Yeah, so the Kickstarter is going to be launching next week, and it's for my book, You Really Truly Are Enough. So my first book is You Really Truly Do Belong, following Cosmo the Alien, and now Cosmo the Alien is going to go through the stages of learning about being enough. So we're going to be strong enough, we're going to be brave enough, we're going to be good enough, we're going to be I think I said smart enough, I'm not sure. And then
Yeah.
usually it's pretty enough as they get older because people don't feel, that, but I made it cute
Mm.
enough because it's for kids, and I just wanted it to just not be so superficial. But Cosmo is learning all that stuff, and it's I'm excited. Like, I the book is just ready to go to illustrations and stuff, and it's just, I am enough is just something that we all struggle with at some point. Just like I don't feel like I belong, So it's kind of like we're tackling these limited beliefs and teaching kids young. But the cool thing about my book and the books that I'm doing within this series now, it's kind of like a series, is that anybody can read it. So like you could get it for your teen who's struggling with feeling smart enough at school or feeling brave enough, to try out for the school play or all this stuff, right? You could get it for your kid that's graduating and going into the real world, high school or college, or someone that's struggling just in their life of just feeling enough. And that's what this book is, just like the You Really Truly Do Belong. So the cool thing about that is you're kind of just pre-ordering. The book is coming out. There's no risks in the Kickstarter. It's not like you're giving your money away and the book's not coming out. But once I get the funding, it's coming. So, and Kickstarter is an all or nothing thing. And we have some really cool rewards throughout it as well. But you're pretty much just pre-ordering the book. And it's free shipping too. So when you order the book on Kickstarter, you're also getting free shipping with it. I'm not charging shipping at all. So it's kind of like, why not, right? You just get it early.
Yeah, that's amazing. Well, we will definitely order our copy. So send me over the link to the Kickstarter once it's up, and we'll put it up. And
Definitely.
Amelie and I will order our copy. We'll be excited about that. And I'm pretty sure she'll be asking you if you'd be willing to come on her podcast too. I'm sorry we're monopolizing your time,
No,
but
I would love to, like, I feel like I know her from watching her, but I'd love to physically talk to her and just, I feel like I want to interview her. My gosh, she's so inspiring.
oh, well, thank you. And you are so incredibly inspiring too, Gina. Thank you so much for being here. Anything else you want to share with our listeners before we let you go and get some rest? Because I think you have a marathon ahead of you.
Yeah, yeah, no, I'm all good. Please stay in touch. I love talking with you. It's always such a great conversation, and I'm really excited to connect further with your daughter. And thanks again for chatting with me, for having me on your show.
Thank you so much, Gina. And storytellers, thank you for being here. If you couldn't catch us live on YouTube, this is something new we're doing, and we want to hear what you think about it. I think it's really cool to either have a pre show chat or a post show chat and just kind of dive a little bit deeper into these things and also update listeners. Tell us how your experience was with this live chat. And if you have any questions for me or for Gina, put those underneath the video as well, and we will attend to those. As always, everyone, stay safe and take care. I'll talk to you soon. And Gina, thank you so much again for being
Thanks.
here.
Thank you.
Bye, everybody. Okie dokie. Good night. I will stop that. And I'm so glad I said okie dokie on the live. My good old Midwestern girl coming out. So cool.